Okay, so let's get into this feeling. I think probably many of us have felt it at some point, even if we don't, talk about it much.
Mm-hmm.
That really quiet, sort of deep affection you have for someone, it just settles in.
Yeah, it's very personal.
And sometimes, well, for all sorts of reasons, you just can't really act on it.
It's a very human place to be, isn't it? That internal world where these significant feelings exist, but there's no external reciprocation.
Well,
Makes you really think about connection itself.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're taking a close look.
Right.
A listener actually, very bravely, shared some of their own writing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a really thoughtful reflection on, well, navigating a one-sided crush, and specifically on someone who is married.
Okay, so a common but often difficult situation.
Definitely. So think of this deep dive as us trying to really understand the emotional landscape, you could say, of loving someone unavailable.
Right. So the goal here is to move beyond just saying, oh, it hurts, and really dig into the why,
Exactly.
Why these feelings? What's the internal tug of war they create? And maybe most importantly, how someone might find some peace, some acceptance.
Yeah, how to navigate that. The author starts beautifully, actually. Calls it a bittersweet melody.
That captures it well. Sweetness and pain together.
It does. And they talk about how these feelings, they often start so unexpectedly. Almost like bumping into a long-lost friend, that kind of feeling.
Right, not something you plan.
No. So what's a key thing about that initial stage? How it begins?
Well, what's fascinating and what the author points out is how seemingly small things can spark it. Really positive interactions, but small.
Like what, for example?
Well, the author mentions a laugh or maybe a smile that feels kind of exclusive, like it's just for you.
Okay. I see.
Or just the general way this person makes others feel valued. Those little moments, maybe not intended as anything more.
But they plant a seed.
Exactly. They can unexpectedly plant the seeds for much deeper feelings.
It's almost like our hearts just do their own thing sometimes, isn't it?
It can feel that way.
The author even says, I didn't ask for these feelings to settle into my chest. Which really hits home,
It highlights how emotions aren't always a conscious choice. They can just show up.
So, okay, the feelings are there. What's the immediate clash? The big problem?
Well, the unavoidable reality, the central conflict. The person is married.
Right. Can't ignore that.
No. And the author is acutely aware, they put it very poignantly, knowing it'll never be my hand he reaches for.
Oof. Yeah. That starkly defines the boundary, doesn't it?
It really does. It throws those internal feelings right up against this hard external truth.
And the author seems to grapple with this, saying, unrequited love.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't care whether it's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. What's the core thing to understand there, you think?
Well, I think it's that emotions just aren't logical, are they? They don't follow rules or moral codes necessarily.
Exactly. The feeling itself is real. It's a genuine experience for the person feeling it.
Even if the circumstances are, well, messy.
Right. Even when the situation presents huge challenges and potential pain.
Okay, so that leads to the big question.
Yeah.
Knowing all this, knowing the reality, why is it often so hard to just let go?
Yeah, what? Hold on.
The author mentions fleeting hope as a major hurdle. What's fueling that hope? What keeps it going?
Well, this is where those small moments we talked about become really powerful. The smile, the glance, feeling truly heard for a second.
Those little crumbs.
Exactly. They act like intermittent reinforcement. It's a psychological thing, actually.
Okay.
Where unpredictable rewards, even tiny ones, make a behavior in this case, holding on to that hope, really resistant to change. It feeds this little voice saying, maybe.
Ah, right. So these little bits of connection, even if the other person doesn't mean them that way.
They keep that hope flickering.
Even when the big picture says no chance, the author says, these moments feel so right despite everything.
It's the power of those brief feelings of connection.
But what about the other side, the existing relationship? How does the author deal with that reality?
That's actually quite striking in the text. There's a strong sense of awareness and respect for the marriage.
Okay.
They write quite clearly, I know he's hers, and he should be.
Wow. That shows a real maturity, doesn't it? Understanding commitment, boundaries.
It does. And there's even more a genuine wish for the other person's happiness.
Really? Like what?
The author writes, she's beautiful, kind, and deserves every bit of him.
Huh. So how does that layer of empathy make things, even more complicated.
Well, it creates this really interesting tension, doesn't it? You're holding your own personal longing.
Yeah, your own pain, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alongside this genuine desire for someone else's happiness, even if it's happiness with the person you have feelings for.
That's complex.
It speaks volumes about our capacity for holding seemingly contradictory emotions. Empathy fighting with desire.
And amidst all this, the author talks about this rich internal world they live in, building castles out of words and glances.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that inner life?
Well, that internal world becomes a kind of sanctuary, a space where the longing can be explored safely.
Where memories get replayed.
Mm-hmm. Cherished memories are replayed, scenarios are imagined. It's a way of experiencing a connection that isn't really happening, or not fully, in the external world.
Living between what's real and what you wish could be.
Precisely. It's a coping mechanism in a way.
But eventually, reality has to set in more firmly, right? There's a recognition of needing to change something.
Yes. The author states it directly. I have to let go.
I have to make peace with the fact that this love will never be returned.
And acknowledging that, saying it out loud, even just to yourself or on paper, that's a huge step.
Why is that acknowledgement so important?
Because it's pivotal. It marks a conscious decision towards healing.
Yeah.
Towards self-preservation, really.
Choosing your own well-being.
Yes. Accepting the reality, however painful, and deciding to prioritize yourself. It's about setting a necessary boundary, not just with the other person, but for yourself.
And the author shares some ways they're trying to cope. These little truths, they call them.
Ah, the reframing.
Yes. Sometimes love is meant to be a lesson, not a destination.
That's a powerful one.
And you can love from afar and still have your heart in one piece.
What's the power in thinking like that? In those reframes?
Well, they shift the focus, don't they?
Yeah.
Away from what you don't have towards what you can gain or how you can understand the experience differently.
So seeing it as a lesson
allows for personal growth.
Right.
You find value in the experience itself, even without the happy ending you might have wanted.
And loving from afar.
That redefines love in this specific context. It becomes about appreciation, maybe, without the expectation of getting something back. It's still love, just a different form.
So it sounds like the ultimate goal isn't necessarily to just switch the feelings off, because maybe you can't.
Often you can't know.
But it's more about finding a way to move forward while still sort of holding a space for those feelings, just differently. Exactly. It's about changing your relationship with those feelings. Accepting they exist, or existed strongly.
But not letting them run your life.
Right. Not letting them dictate your future or your happiness. It's cherishing the experience, perhaps for the lesson it taught, while consciously moving towards a place of peace. Acceptance.
Okay. So as we've walked through this listener's reflection, this deep dive, a few key things seem to stand out.
Yeah, what are the main takeaways for you?
Well, first, how these feelings can just arise unexpectedly from really simple, small moments of connection.
The innocent start.
Then second, that immediate clash with reality, the person's unavailable, creates this huge internal conflict, heart versus head.
Definitely. A major struggle.
Third, that fleeting hope, fueled by those intermittent moments, makes letting go incredibly difficult. It keeps you hooked, in a way.
The hope trap, yeah.
And finally, finding peace seems to involve that conscious acceptance, maybe some reframing and redefining what that affection means now.
Absolutely. And what really stands out to me is the strength in the author's self-awareness, their willingness to navigate all this complexity with honesty, but also with respect.
Respect for the marriage and for themselves, too, eventually.
Yes. It really underscores that even in unrequited love, which sounds so passive, there can be profound emotional work happening, a real journey towards acceptance.
And that conclusion the author reaches, accepting the love as it is, quiet, unspoken, and full of respect,
right,
while choosing to move forward. That feels like a resolution of sorts.
It does. It feels like finding a way to integrate the experience, which, brings up a really important point for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay.
Think about any experiences you've had with affection that, for whatever reason, couldn't be fully realized. Maybe not this exact situation, but something similar.
Right.
What were the unexpected lessons? What insights did you gain, maybe about your own capacity for love or connection or even resilience? And how might understanding those past emotions, those complex situations, actually help you navigate your understanding of relationships now moving forward? Something to think about.